Aaron Rodgers didn't finish the game, and suddenly a season that felt fragile is flirting with real risk. Head coach Mike Tomlin confirmed what everyone feared after the Steelers' win over the Bengals. Rodgers left with a wrist injury and will undergo further evaluation. That line, will be evaluated, is the kind of line coaches use when they don't want to say the worst out loud, and it's worth taking seriously. This matters for a lot more than one Sunday night stat line. First, the immediate football facts. Rodgers exited with his left wrist bothering him after a sack, and initial imaging at the stadium hinted at something more than a bruise. Mason Rudolph filled in and was steady. 12 of 16 for 127 yards and a touchdown in relief. But this is not about one competent backup performance. It's about continuity, durability, and the long shadow of risk that comes with signing a 41-year-old quarterback to a one-year deal. Even if the wrist turns out to be a short-term issue, losing Rodgers for any extended stretch forces the Steelers to pivot their identity overnight. Second, the tactical implications. Pittsburgh's offense has leaned on quick completions and short area throws for much of the season because the run game has been inconsistent and protection isn't elite. Rodgers' strongest asset this year hasn't been scrambling. He's had to adjust to a quarterback-friendly plan that hides pressure and gets the ball out fast. A wrist injury disrupts that. Even on his non-throwing hand, pain alters mechanics, grip, and confidence. If Rodgers can't return quickly or tampers with his release, the offense that's already had trouble sustaining long drives stalls even faster. Third, the depth chart and what comes next. Rudolph showed he can manage the game. He's a veteran who knows the offense and can limit mistakes. But the Steelers also activated rookie Will Howard recently, which gives them a developmental piece on the roster. Howard isn't a plug-and-play solution. If Rodgers is out multiple weeks, Pittsburgh will likely ride Rudolph and rely on game plans that ask less of the quarterback, more play-action looks, more screens, a heavier dose of Kenneth Gainwell or the committee back they assemble. They'll try to protect the quarterback with quicker drops and schemed blitz pickups. That's fine for a week or two. It's not a sustainable blueprint to win the AFC North. Fourth, the broader roster reality. The Steelers are surviving this year on turnovers, takeaways, and opportunistic defense. That's kept them in first place even when the offense sputters. But defense-driven wins are a fragile currency. Sooner or later, the turnover luck evens out, and an offense that can't score consistently will lose tight games. If Rodgers' availability becomes a recurring question, Pittsburgh's front office will face an uncomfortable choice: push for a short-term fix before the trade deadline, or ride with internal options and hope the defense can carry them. Both paths have real downsides. Fifth, the long-term human element. Rodgers has hinted at retirement uncertainty. He's not locked into one more year for sure, and an injury like this forces a personal calculus. If the wrist requires surgery or lingers into the offseason, that could affect Rodgers' decision-making about 2026. From a Steelers perspective, you don't want to wake up in the spring without clarity on your quarterback and with salary cap and roster decisions already in motion. That uncertainty complicates everything: free agency planning, the draft board, even the coaching staff's approach to play design. Finally, what should fans watch for this week? The medical update is the headline. How the imaging looks after Monday's evaluation, how pain and swelling respond, and whether Rodgers can throw comfortably in a short window. On the field, watch how the offense responds scheme-wise under Rudolph. Do they lean into quick tempo, short gains, and run support, or try to mirror the same plays Rodgers runs? And track the health of the running backs and offensive line. If protection or the ground game falters, the team's margin for error evaporates. This is a pivotal moment for the Steelers. They've held on to a division lead with grit and defense, but a wrist injury to your starting quarterback is the kind of X factor that can flip a season. Mason Rudolph gave the team a reliable patch Sunday night, but patches can only hold so long. The next few days of medical clarity and the next few games of on-field performance will tell whether Pittsburgh weathers this or whether 2025 becomes a cautionary tale about aging vet gambles and the price of fragile depth charts.